Hi everyone, Boruto Eggs is back with another video. Today I will cover a never-ending and very toxic matchup. Adult Sage Mode Naruto versus Adult EMS Sasuke. As you've read in the thumbnail, I don't really think this matchup is close at all. But you know, people still debate it to this day, so why not finally settling this versus battle once and for all? I'm gonna start the video by scaling Sage Mode Naruto first. The EMS Sasuke part will come later on. People usually either lowball the fuck out of Adult Sage Mode Naruto, or wank the hell out of him without any concrete feat to do so. The lowballers generally use this statement, saying that Naruto lost his, quote-unquote, superhuman strength after the death of Kurama. The problem is that this statement is as obvious as saying the grass is green. It's clear that Naruto lost his superhuman strength, since other than Kurama, he lost his 6-part Sage Mode too. Also, this statement isn't giving us any exact estimation of his current strength, nor is it adding any real new information, so it's pretty much useless. Another statement Sage Mode Naruto lowballers generally use is the one made by Gaara in the Boruto anime, where Gaara stated that current Naruto wouldn't probably be able to take on an Otsutsuki. Gaara is a very reliable source, since he fought against Otsutsuki clan members firsthand. He fought against base momoshiki and fused momoshiki in the manga. And in the anime, he fought against Jirashiki, at least in 4 different occasions. So yeah, Gaara should know very damn well how strong Otsutsuki are. The problem in this statement lies somewhere else. Gaara doesn't know how strong Adult Sage Mode Naruto is. Him being weaker than any Otsutsuki we saw up until now is an assumption from his part. He just knows that since he lost Kurama, Naruto is way weaker. But him losing to any other Otsutsuki is just Gaara's baseless opinion, since he had never seen this Naruto's version fight. Also, the most important thing that everyone forgets is that this statement is present only in the anime. Therefore, it can't be considered 100% canon. I can already hear people saying that anime canon equals to manga canon, but well, that's not always the case. You have the school trip arc, where Boruto and company went to the Hidden Mist Village, and that arc was mentioned in the manga during the AO saga. But then, you have the Chunin Ray examination arc, where Sarada got promoted to Chunin. But in the Boruto 2 Blue Vortex manga, it was outright stated by the current Hokage himself that Sarada is still a Genin. So yeah, the anime should always be used only as a supporting piece of evidence for scaling. You can't use it as a primary source, since it's just inconsistent. Now that I've went over the ridiculous downplay that this Naruto's version gets, let's go over the ridiculous wank that he often gets too. Many people think that base Naruto is relative to fused momoshiki based on the fact that he could block and react to some of his attacks. Then they'll say that Naruto was at 50% chakra, so he did that while heavily weakened. After that, they'll throw the low-balled Sage Mode multiplier in and say that a fresh 100% chakra Naruto with his Sage Mode stacked on would have defeated fused momoshiki alone. I'm sorry for having used this kind of scaling in one of my older videos, since it's completely wrong. Now, we'll see why, going step by step. First, Momoshiki was holding back during the segment in which base Naruto was, quote-unquote, contending with him. We know that because some moments later, Momoshiki was about to kill Sasuke in 3 pages. Rinnegan Sasuke is obviously stronger than a drained base Naruto. Therefore, the only option is that fused Momoshiki was holding back. After Sasuke almost died, Naruto attacked fused Momoshiki with his Kurama avatar. But guess what? Momoshiki was easily able to overpower him. If base Naruto was really equal to fused Momoshiki, how come he was getting pressed, and not only in his 6 parts mode, but even in his Kurama avatar form? The form stated to be adult Naruto going all out? Something is obviously not adding up here, especially when transformed Momoshiki forced Naruto and Sasuke to go all out and merge with their respective avatars. Their majestic attire Susanoo is what defeated fused Momoshiki, and in the databooks, that same majestic attire Susanoo was stated to be the strongest ninjutsu. And also, we have the volume statement saying that Naruto and Sasuke needed to team up in order to stand any chance against fused Momoshiki. So, saying that a full Chakra Sage Mode Naruto would beat fused Momoshiki is absolutely ridiculous, since a way stronger form of Naruto had to literally team up with Sasuke in order to defeat him. I'll tell you right now why Naruto wasn't getting absolutely overpowered in these 2 pages here. Momoshiki was most likely holding back in that instance. Like I said before, his goal was to absorb Kurama's chakra from Naruto, and in order to do so, he needed Naruto to be alive, therefore, he couldn't kill him in that occasion. Supporting mine interpretation is the multitude of feats and statements that we saw a moment ago, showing that fused Momoshiki was way stronger than base Naruto only. And by the way, all bring the 2 page of base Naruto being, quote-unquote, relative to fused Momoshiki, but everyone forget when a full chakra-based Naruto was getting overpowered by just base Momoshiki. And don't say that Naruto was caught off guard, because when Naruto was about to punch Momoshiki, in the same manner as Momo kicked him before, Momoshiki easily dodged his attack. So yeah, you should have gotten the idea by now. Fused Momoshiki was 100% holding back, when base Naruto seemed to be relative to him. Second, Naruto wasn't at 50% chakra when he fought fused Momoshiki. That's once again an anime-only thing that wasn't present in the manga. The only things that Momoshiki said in the manga were such ridiculously enormous chakra, and this is taking too long. As you can see, there's no mention of Naruto being down 50% of his overall chakra, and that also wouldn't make sense with the manga canon continuity. In the manga, Sasuke was nowhere near 50% chakra, and he was shown to be relative to 6 parts Naruto. This would mean that Rinnegan Sasuke is way weaker than 6 parts Naruto, but we know that's obviously not the case. Except them being stated to be equals, there are also a lot of fights proving it. The only thing that could remotely prove Sasuke was at 50% chakra is the Rinnegan portal he opened to go inside Momoshiki's dimension. We know that opening space-time portals is an extremely chakra-taxing task for Sasuke, and in this case, he opened a portal for the beauty of 8 different people. However, never it was stated that more people transported meant more chakra expended. Sasuke only stated that the portal had a certain limit on how many people it could let transpass, nothing more. If Sasuke was out of Tomo by opening some portals for just himself in Kaguya's dimensions, when he opened a portal for 8 different people, he should have been very chakra depleted right after and without a single Tomo on his Rinnegan. However, against Kinshiki and fused Momoshiki, all of his Tomo were present, meaning that he didn't expend that much chakra after teleporting 8 persons. That basically confirmed the fact that more people transported doesn't correlate to more chakra expended. So yeah, Sasuke was weakened because he still opened a portal at the end of the day, but nothing implies nor suggests that he was at 50% chakra. Also, Momoshiki saying we're halfway done doesn't mean that Naruto was at 50% chakra. Momoshiki was halfway done absorbing Kurama's chakra, and Naruto's chakra isn't just Kurama's only. Naruto has his own chakra, plus a piece of the one of each and every other Biju. So, either way, Naruto wasn't at 50% chakra. That info is factually cap and shouldn't be said in 2024. Third, stacking his Sage mode over his base form could very well be a 10 times multiplier, but not for his speed. The statements in which it was said that the curse mark is a 10 times multiplier all refer to a strength multiplier only and not a speed one. It was never shown that the second phase of the cursed mark amped the speed of the user too. We can't use Choji as an example, since when Jirobo entered his second stage, he was beating Choji to a pulp by standing still, but just because he was stronger and not exponentially faster. We can't use Neji as an example either, since Kidomaru was a stationary fighter who didn't physically move after he went version 2. But with Kiba, we can get the idea that the speed multiplier is basically non-existent. Seikon was already slightly faster than Kiba while in base. Then, he staked his curse mark first and second stage on top of that, but Kiba was shown to be able to react her and block his assault in second transformation. That would have not been possible if Seikon really got 10 times faster after transforming, meaning that the only stats increased by the second stage of the curse mark were strength and chakra. With Shikamaru, we saw that he could dodge Taiyuya's spirit's attacks and follow her movements. Likewise, Taiyuya could react and move fast enough to cancel her own spirits before Shikamaru and them could get close to her. That means they were kinda relative in speed, right? Well, after getting struck by Shikamaru's shadow possession, Taiyuya entered her second stage and had put Shikamaru under Genjutsu. Taiyuya then rushed at Shikamaru with a kunai at hand. Since V1 Taiyuya was relative to Shikamaru in speed, if her V2 was really a 10 times multiplier in speed, she must have blitzed him casually. But that's not what happened. Shikamaru was able to react to her attack while trapped in the sound genjutsu, break his finger with his shadow, and block her assault right after, something practically impossible if Taiyuya had really gotten 10 times faster than when she was in version 1 only. Little bonus. Before going version 2, Taiyuya outright stated that she needed to take Shikamaru down by force, implying once again only a strength buff and not a speed one. So, yeah, once again, that was another example of the cursed mark not amping the speed of the user whatsoever. We can even use Gaara as an example. In his fight against Gaara, Kimimaro was able to react to his sand even while in base form only. He got caught by Gaara's sand moments later just because he was off guard. That shows once again speed relativity between the two fighters, meaning that if the second stage of the curse mark was really a 10 times speed multiplier, Kimimaro should have been able to blitz Gaara once in version 2. But of course, that's not what happened. Kimimaro was able to overpower Gaara's sand, but his speed remained the same. In fact, Gaara could very well react to his direct assault and erect a sand wall before getting hit by him. After that, we got another blatant feat showing their relativity in speed even while Kimimaro was in version 2. Kimimaro was able to destroy Gaara's sand wall and push him away. Rock Lee tried to join the fight in order to help Gaara out. He landed a kick on Kimimaro's neck, but without taking any damage, Kimimaro was about to slam his tail onto Lee. Gaara was able to intercept Kimimaro's tail before it had hit Rock Lee, and from a much further distance on top of that. That must have been impossible if Kimimaro really had gotten 10 times faster than when he was in just his base form. Another little bonus, Kimimaro went version 1 just because he needed more durability to tank Gaara's sand funeral. Again, a speed amp was never mentioned. And Kimimaro went version 2 just because he needed more power to get through Gaara's sand, not because he needed a speed boost. I think that I made enough examples, but let's see the last two before getting to the next points. In his fight against Itachi, Sasuke never used his cursed mark in order to amp his speed. The first time Sasuke went version 2 against Itachi was because he needed a power supply to break through his Tsukiyomi. The second time was because he needed more strength in order to perform its Art of Dragon Flame jutsu, the same jutsu that was later crucial in order to perform the Kirin. The third and last time was because Sasuke used all of the cards on his sleeves up, and so he went version 2 as a desperate attempt to gain more strength in order to put Itachi down for good. So yeah, as you can see, even in Sasuke's case, the curse mark was used for the sole purpose of gaining a strength boost and not a speed one. The next and final example is centered around Sage Mode Naruto. After Naruto used 2 of his Raisin's Hurricane against Pain, his Sage Mode expired. Pain used this opportunity to rush at Naruto and try to capture him. Evaded Gamabunta's attack, Pain reached base Naruto, and the two started exchanging blows. At that point, Fukasaku opened the summoning scroll and brought back one of the 2 Sage clones that Naruto left at Mount Myoboka beforehand. As you can see, once his Sage Mode came back, Naruto was able to shatter one of Pain's black rods and kick him away through the battlefield. This was a clear-cut demonstration of Naruto getting several times stronger than when he was in base only. Obviously, Naruto didn't get 10 times faster here, since his kick would have blitzed Pain if that was the case. Pain could very well react to and defend from Sage Naruto's kick, debunking once again the notion that Sage Mode is a 10 times multiplier for speed too. So, in conclusion, adult Sage Naruto would be nowhere near Fused Momoshika's true speed, since for once, Fused Momoshiki was holding back, and for second, Naruto wouldn't get any faster by staking his Sage Mode on. Many people also use the borushiki meta when they try to wank Kuramalis Naruto. This meta consists in borushiki teaming up with Code because Sage Naruto was too strong, basically a nuisance to him. However, just like the Fused Momoshiki equal to base Naruto meta we saw moments before, this one is terrible too, and let me explain why. First, Amada stated that Code was entrusted to guard the Ten Tails hideout in the other dimensional space, He stated that after Sasuke infiltrated that same space, Kara went on high alert. This information is huge because it already gives us an estimated on how strong limited code was. Jigen fought against Rinnegan Sasuke, and he basically saw how strong he was firsthand, but still, he thought that limited code was strong enough to guard the 10 tails in case Sasuke was to enter that other dimensional space once again. With that information in mind, Limiter's code would be around, if not above Rinnegan Sasuke, since he was supposed to guard the 10 tails against him, unless you think Jigen is some kind of idiot for placing an incapable weakling to do that job. That's how it is. We know that Jigen is clearly not an idiot, since he was able to uncover Koji and Amada's plan to kill him. So, that leaves us with the only option of limited code really being on that level of strength. Before the respective nerfs, Naruto and Sasuke were pretty much equal. Not only it was outright stated so, but shown in each and every of their fights. Sasuke was considered the more problematic of the two, but because of his battle IQ and hack-slash abilities only. So yeah, limited code should have been able to defend the 10 tails from Naruto too, since he was equal to Sasuke. Second, limited code was stated by Amada to be Jigen's strong right-hand man, not Kashin Koji, not Delta, and nor Boro. That supports code being near Naruto's level, since Delta had shown relativity to him, at least in taijutsu, and code is considered stronger than her. Third, while Kawaki and Boruto were talking about implanting code with another Karma, Kawaki stated that limited code was strong, even stronger than Boro and Delta. That support the point we saw prior, since Delta was once again stated inferior to limited code. This indirectly confirmed once again, code being near 6 paths Naruto's level, since he scales above Delta, who contended with that same Naruto. Also, code being stronger than Delta was stated even way earlier in the story, so yeah, here's more consistency in our scaling. Fourth, during the conversation between Ida and limited code, code stated that he could have probably defeated Naruto and Sasuke in a 1 versus 1. However, Code wanted Amada to remove his limiters so that he could have spared himself from unnecessary hardship in doing so. This statement obviously refers to 6 paths Naruto and Rinnegan Sasuke, since Code didn't know about their nerfs, and even if he knew, he had no way to gauge the power of their nerfed forms whatsoever. So yeah, that statement must refer to their prime forms minus Baryon mode. Also, keep in mind that Code said defeating either of them would have brought him some hardships, implying that his hypothetical fight against them would have actually been close. Fifth, after Kawaki pushed Amada on the wall, he asked him if current nerf Naruto would have been able to take limited code down, just like he did with Delta. Amada stated that he was not sure, since it was unclear how weak Naruto got after losing Kurama, but still, he suspected that Naruto would have probably lost in a 1 versus 1 against limited code. To be honest, I think Amada was being very generous towards Naruto here, since first, we saw before that Code was more of a 6 paths Naruto's / Rinnegan Sasuke's rival than Sage Naruto only. Second, Limiter's code was stronger than Delta, and Delta had a close fight against full power Naruto, and not just Sage Naruto. Third, Kurama wasn't the only thing that Naruto lost. Naruto lost his Sage of 6 Paths mode in the progress, as well as the Chakra's vestiges of the other 8 Bijou. So yeah, Toad's Sage mode Naruto would have definitely lost against Limiter's code, and nothing supports him winning. Sixth, we got another statement from Code about him probably being able to defeat 6 Paths Naruto and Rinnegan Sasuke in a 1 versus 1, which gives even more consistency to everything we saw before. At this point, limited code being on Naruto's level should be very consistent, therefore, saying that Borushiki needed Code's help in order to fight a way weaker form of Naruto makes no sense whatsoever. Especially when Borushiki alone absolutely humiliated limited code during their confrontation. Since the moment that Borushiki took control of Boruto's body, limited code was getting overwhelmed. He was forced to keep dodging the Rasengan onslaught caused by Borushiki since he couldn't possibly compete against him. After Code dodged 3 of Borushiki's giant Rasengan, even Ida suggested him to retreat, since there was no way that he could have contended against an opponent that powerful. Instead of listening to Ida, Code tried to blackmail Borushiki by using Kawaki as a hostage. However, Momoshiki didn't give a F, and he easily freed Kawaki from Code by hitting him with a Rasengan. Then, Borushiki sent him flying with a kick, and that's when Naruto and Shikamaru arrived on the battlefield. As you saw, wanking Sage Naruto to Borushiki's level and above is mad copium, since not only Sage Naruto was weaker than Borushiki, but he was weaker than Limited Code too. And by the way, after the fight between Borushiki and Kawaki, we got confirmation by Boruto himself that the giant Rasengan Borushiki was about to use on Sage Naruto would have killed him if it successfully connected. So, in conclusion, there is no accurate way to properly scale adult Sage Naruto. We just know that he's weaker than Limited Code, and that's literally it. We can't say whom he can beat realistically, since he has no real feats after the Ishiki fight. Now, for Sasuke, the situation is kinda different, since people usually wank his before time skip version and lowball his 2 blue vortex one. However, it's way easier to scale him, since he has concrete feats we can use, and not just an endless pile of statements. After Ishiki was successfully defeated, Borushiki came out of nowhere and stabbed Sasuke's Rinnegan. So, the Sasuke we saw fighting Borushiki the chapter later was already nerfed, ergo, the one we are using in this video. Many people wank this Sasuke version because he was able to go toe-to-toe with Borushiki, and by Borushiki's own admission, he would have left the fight heavily injured had he fought this particular Sasuke version head-on. However, there are many problems in scaling Rinnegan Sasuke to full power Borushiki. Let's check them one by one. First, it's true that an injured and almost out of chakra Sasuke was contending with Borushiki, but something that everyone forgets is the fact that Borushiki was injured and low on chakra too. Prior to the Borushiki vs Sasuke fight, Ishiki broke Boruto's arm and basically shattered his spine and vertebrae too. Sasuke also explained the Borushiki's phenomenon chapters later, saying that Borushiki emerged because Boruto was low on chakra, meaning that consequently, Borushiki was low on chakra too. So yeah, not only was Boruto's body broken to a pulp before the fight, but he was also almost out of chakra. In conclusion, that was a nerfed Borushiki, and you can't upscale Rinnegan Sasuke to the one who was at full power and equal to Karma V2 Kawaki. Second, like I said, a full-powered Borushiki who took control of Boruto's body without him being either injured/low on chakra was able to go toe-to-toe with Karma V2 Kawaki. Karma V2 Kawaki is the same person that was stomping Limited Code, and even Code himself admitted that he was being completely overpowered by him. As we saw before, Limited Code was around 6 parts Naruto, and Rinnegan Sasuke's level singularly, meaning that Karma V2 Kawaki would be able to give either of them the same treatment that he gave to Limited Code. Saying that Rinnegan Sasuke was equal to a full-powered Borushiki would mean that Sasuke got actually stronger after being slapped by Ishiki and losing the Rinnegan. Since Borushiki was equal to that Karma V2 Kawaki, and that Kawaki was stronger than a person equal to Rinnegan Sasuke. So yeah, you can understand that there is something wrong with this line of scaling, and like I said before, the Borushiki Rinnegan Sasuke was heavily nerfed. In conclusion, just like Sage Naruto, EMS Sasuke was weaker than Limited Code, since Limited Code was around his Rinnegan version, and we can't scale him precisely since he doesn't have any more fights other than the one versus a nerfed Borushiki. Since they both scale below Limited Code, and we have no other way to know how strong they are exactly, this is a battle of hacks and abilities in the end. Amaterasu and Kagutsuchi can still be countered by Naruto, even if he doesn't have the Kurama chakra clock anymore. He could counter them in the same way that Borushiki did, ergo by creating a shadow clone before the Amaterasu had hit him. Likewise, for the Raisen's Hurricane, Sasuke can sacrifice parts of his Susanoo to block it, or even better, he can simply dodge it. We saw multiple times that the Raisen's Hurricane is not particularly fast to begin with, since even the weaker and slower paths of pain were able to dodge it, meaning Sage Naruto himself is actually faster than the jutsu. One thing Naruto must be extremely wary of are Sasuke's Susanoo arrows. Danzo, who was relative to MS Sasuke in speed, couldn't dodge them because they were too fast. The only way Naruto has to dodge them is by using his increased perception and danger sense combined with body flicker to preemptively move out of their way before they're getting launched. Just think of Naruto doing this, but against Sasuke's Susanoo arrow and with his Sage mode increased perception. Giant Rasengan shouldn't be enough to break through Sasuke's Susanoo if we go by the logic that it couldn't penetrate Madara's one. However, his Super Rasengan barrage, the one he used against Kurama, would surely be lethal for Sasuke. Fortunately for him, even though Sasuke shouldn't have access to his perfect Susanoo anymore, he can still fly thanks to his Hawk summoning. That means he would be safe from that Super Rasengan barrage, since Naruto has no way to fly in just Sage mode. Dealing with multiple shadow clones was never a problem for Sasuke. We saw that in his fight against Naruto over the hospital rooftop and in the extended version of their successive fights, if you want to count them. Also, Sasuke should be able to delete all of the shadow clones at Naruto's disposal by using the Kirin. Keep in mind that a single Kirin, performed by a way weaker Sasuke, was able to destroy the entire Uchiha hideout where Itachi and Sasuke had fought. So yeah, all the countless shadow clones present on the battlefield would get vaporized instantly by Sasuke's Kirin, and if Naruto doesn't use something like reverse summoning in order to get away, he would come out of the jutsu with fatal wounds too. Getting hit by Naruto's frog Kumite would be lethal for Sasuke. However, he's lucky to have the Susanoo in his arsenal, so it shouldn't be too hard for him to figure out the jutsu and avoid getting hit by it a second time. As you saw, they both have ways to counter each other's jutsu. However, I must give the win to Sasuke for mainly two reasons. The first one is that Naruto has nothing on the caliber of the Susanoo. While Naruto lost his Kurama avatar form after the Chapter 52 nerf, Sasuke has still access to the Susanoo. Having a dual Mangekyo Sharingan active was never a prerequisite to use the Susanoo. In fact, the first time we saw the Susanoo being used, Itachi was blind in both of his eyes. The only stated prerequisite to use the Susanoo was simply unlocking it after the awakening of the user's Mangekyo Sharingan and its abilities. We know that Sasuke awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan, developed his Amaterasu plus Kagutsuchi, and learned to use the Susanoo right after. So yeah, Sasuke should still be able to use the Susanoo, but that's until the Armored one, since that's the highest form that was used by a character without functional eyes. The second reason is that Naruto has no counter to Genjutsu anymore, so he would be vulnerable to it all the times in a fight against Sasuke. As Killer Bee stated during his fight versus Sasuke, to break through a Genjutsu, you must need a partner to shake your chakra up. Naruto doesn't have Kurama anymore, so no one will be there to force him out of the illusion. Sasuke can just paralyze Naruto with his MS, like he did in fact versus B, and pierce his heart with a Chidori or with his sword. Even if we were to give Naruto Ma and Pa as a backup, that still wouldn't change anything. For starters, they don't have any scaling in Boruto. If Sasuke were to put Naruto under Genjutsu, they would be too slow to free him, considering how fast Sasuke got after the Pain arc, the arc in which Ma and Pa were still relevant in power and speed. Ma and Pa would also need to notice that Naruto is caught under Genjutsu, something that's not easy to do in itself, and especially if they are way too slow to even catch that. Also, what exactly is stopping Sasuke from putting them two under Genjutsu just like he did in the past with Manda? Sasuke doesn't need to show them anything special. One subtle Genjutsu to confuse them, it's all he needs, and Naruto wouldn't even notice it. But wait, wouldn't Sasuke be vulnerable against the Frog Song? Like I said before, Ma and Pa are way too slow to pull that off, and that's not even the only problem. The jutsu in itself is incredibly slow. It takes forever for Ma and Pa to charge it up. Just remember for a moment the fight between Jiraiya and Pain, where Jiraiya had to basically hide and let the two frogs charge the Genjutsu before revealing his position and re-enter the fight. So yeah, Sasuke's Sharingan, in this case, would be much more useful and reliable than the Frog Song. To finally conclude this section of the video, both Nerfed Naruto and Sasuke scale unquantifiably below limited code, but Sasuke has the edge in terms of abilities and hacks. Since he kept his EMS abilities, unlike Naruto, who lost everything he had in KCM2 and went back to his Toad Sage mode only. Now, we saw how Naruto and Sasuke would square up based on their Part 1 Boruto feats, but in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, we got some more Sasuke feats that we can use in order to see if this time he would be able to defeat Sage Naruto for good. Like I said, back in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 5, we finally got to see the flashback of Boruto training under the guidance of Sasuke and mastering all of his jutsu and sword techniques. But that's not the only thing that we saw. In the final bits of the entire flashback, we got to see Boruto and Sasuke fighting against Limitless Code. And surprisingly enough, no Rinnegan Sasuke was able to take one of Code's eyes and hold him off until Boruto could flee. Many people don't count it, but that was one of Sasuke's best feat ever performed in the entire series, even if we count his Rinnegan form. Let's go in order and see why Sasuke fighting and damaging Code is pretty self-explanatory to the end result of this video. First of all, we know that when they fought, Boruto wasn't that useful. Code even stated that he was helpless, so no, he wasn't a factor in Sasuke being able to hold off Code whatsoever. Back in the Naruto and Sasuke vs Jigen fight, Sasuke and Naruto weren't even able to connect an attack to Jigen even while they were working together. But in the flashback that we saw prior, Sasuke alone could injure Code, take his eye, and hold him off until Boruto got away. This is crazy, because we know that no limiter's Code scales above the likes of Jigen, as it was stated multiple times and by different reliable sources too. Meaning that this, quote-unquote, nerfed Sasuke actually got stronger than his Rinnegan self during the Year of Time skip in which he trained Boruto. Now, downplayers usually don't like this feat because they are often illiterates who hates on Sasuke's character, so they say that Code was simply in base and off guard the moment Sasuke took his eye, but that doesn't make any sense, and let me explain why. First, Code himself never mentioned any sneak attack, and he was the one who lost the eye. Second, a sneak attack couldn't have been possible. Sasuke lost his Ameno de Akara a year before in the plotline, meaning he couldn't surprise Code with his switching ability anymore. Third, there was a fight happening before Sasuke took Code's eye. You can see that by the scratches present on every combatant and by Boruto's sword being broken. The fact that Sasuke didn't get one shot in the portion of the fight that they cut off, while he also had to protect Boruto, already proves that Sasuke got stronger since the end of Boruto Part 1. Fourth, Sasuke saying that him and Boruto had absolutely no way of defeating Code doesn't debunk anything of what I've said. Let's take Delta as an example. Code outright stated that Delta was no match for Naruto, but that was just a statement taken at face value without any further elaboration. We know that even though Code made that claim, Delta was shown to be relative to that same Okage Naruto that she was supposed to be no match to. Okay, Naruto was holding back his Kurama avatar, but Delta could still keep up with him in his human form. If Code's statement taken at face value was really true, then Delta should have gotten blitzed and one-shotted, but that's not what happened. With the proper elaboration, we can see that Naruto was stronger than Delta overall, but still, they could exchange blows with each other. Fifth, if Code was really on another level compared to Sasuke, how come Sasuke was able to stall enough time for Boruto to escape, while he also had to deal with multiple claw grimes other than Code? And keep in mind that Sasuke was even able to slay the majority of them. Sixth, just because Code didn't have his white karma active in one panel, doesn't mean that he didn't use it during the entire fight against Boruto and Sasuke. We all know how much Code despised Boruto. Do you think he really was holding back the moment he found him, and also the moment Boruto was trying to run away from him? The obvious answer is no, since Code was obviously trying to kill him at that moment in order to exact his revenge. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this Rinnegan Sasuke is 100% Jigen plus level, but the point is that he surely has way better feats than adult Sage Naruto. Before the time skip, their nerfed forms were unquantifiably weaker than limited Code, but after 1 year of training Boruto, and at this point himself too, Sasuke was able to scar not limited, but limitless Code. If you think about it, it makes sense that Sasuke grew stronger too, since Momoshiki could still take over Boruto's body, and he was the only one able to hold him off if that happened. So yeah, before the time skip, we had no way to tell who was stronger between the two, but Sasuke had the edge cause of his IQ, battle IQ, hacks, and abilities. After the time skip, however, Sasuke has shown to be physically stronger too, meaning that Naruto this time would have absolutely no way to defeat him. I'd say that before the time skip, Sasuke would win mid to high diff. Meanwhile, after the time skip, Sasuke would still win, but with little to no difficulty, considering his feats against code. That's all for today's video. I hope that I was exhaustive enough and that I didn't leave anything important to cover. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like, comment and share the video in order to get more quality and frequent updates. If you have any video suggestion, feel free to drop it below in the comments and maybe I'll do a video on it. From Boruto is everything. See you next time guys, peace.